Police say a manhunt for the person of interest in the murder of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson has come to an end in Pennsylvania. A 26-year-old man is in custody and being questioned tonight.
Investigators say Luigi Mangione was recognized inside a McDonald's this morning, nearly 300 miles from here in Altoona, Pennsylvania. Police say they found a lot of evidence on him while taking him into custody, including a gun, a silencer, fake IDs, a handwritten document that could give details on his motive and more.
Natalie Duddridge is live on the Upper West Side outside the hostel where police believe he stayed when he was in New York. Natalie?
Well, Dick and Christine, as you said, in the last several hours, we have learned critical information about this man accused of leading police on a dramatic 6-day manhunt. And this hostel here was a pivotal break in the case. It was the first time that we saw this person of interest without a mask on surveillance video. It was also the location where he checked in with a fake ID, the same fake ID that was found on that person in Pennsylvania.
We have a strong person of interest in the shooting that shook our city.
Mayor Adams says police may finally have the person they've been searching for over the past 6 days in the shooting death of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson.
He has been identified as Luigi Nicholas Mangione. He's a male, 26 years old. He was born and raised in Maryland. We know he has ties to San Francisco, California, and his last known address was Honolulu, Hawaii. He has no prior arrest history in New York.
Authorities say an employee at an Altoona, Pennsylvania McDonald's recognized a man from the many pictures police released and called authorities. NYPD Chief of Detectives says the suspect was sitting eating when police arrived.
The McDonald's employee did something we ask every American to do. If you see something, say something, but most importantly, do something. And they did.
The manhunt began last Wednesday when Brian Thompson, the CEO of UnitedHealthcare, was fatally shot outside the Hilton Midtown.
We must, of course, remember that a family is in mourning. I want to again extend my sympathies to Brian's family, his co-workers, and all who knew him.
Police say inside the McDonald's, Mangione was found in possession of multiple fake IDs matching the ID used to check into an Upper West Side hostel, as well as a passport and a gun.
Officers recovered a firearm on his person, as well as a suppressor, both consistent with the weapon used in the murder.
The information we're getting from Altoona is that the gun appears to be a ghost gun, may have been made on a 3D printer, the capability of firing a 9mm round.
Investigators also found he had a 3-page handwritten document.
Officers recovered a handwritten document that speaks to both his motivation and mindset.
The document is currently in the possession of the Altoona Police Department, but just from briefly speaking with them, we don't think that there's any specific threats to other people mentioned in that document, but it does seem that he has some ill will toward corporate America.
And Mangione remains in custody in Pennsylvania on firearms charges. The NYPD are there now and will interrogate him, and the next steps are to begin the extradition process. On the Upper West Side, Natalie Duddridge, CBS News, New York.
Natalie, thanks very much.
Luigi Mangione graduated in 2016 from a private school in Maryland.
The head of the Gilman School released a statement saying, in part, quote, "We recently became aware that the person arrested in connection with the killing of the UnitedHealthcare CEO is a Gilman alumnus." He went on to say, "This is deeply distressing news on top of an already awful situation. Our hearts go out to everyone affected." And there are a lot of elements to this investigation that are still unfolding.
Joining us now to sort through some of it is CBS News law enforcement contributor Rich Esposito. Rich, thanks for joining us. A lot of evidence that police are still combing through here today, but what happens next here? I mean, we know that the NYPD is in Pennsylvania with the suspect. How then do they get him back to New York?
So there's a series of steps that occur now, and not only is the NYPD there in Altoona, they are there with someone from the Manhattan District Attorney's Office as well. So they'll meet with prosecutors and police in Altoona and sort out the next steps for extradition after they've decided how to approach the charges, the gun charges in Altoona, and then they'll move to New York.
Now, Rich, this person of interest seemingly had a load of evidence on him Why, if you had committed this crime, would you be carrying around a weapon and documents, etc.? It just seems very strange.
Yeah, people carry their evidence with them. People don't commit these crimes with a logical bent in mind. If you were being logical and rational, you wouldn't kill someone in Midtown. So he took his statement with him, his grievances, and he carried them along. I think he probably knew he'd be getting caught.
Rich, you know, his face, the person of interest, Mangione, his face has been plastered pretty much everywhere across the U.S. in the past 4 days. Why did it take a person, an employee at McDonald's, in order for police to get that tip?
You know, it's kind of cool how tips come in, and they come in from people like us, from parents, from friends, and in this case, from a sharp-eyed employee at a McDonald's, where the suspect, the person of interest, had gone in to have a bite, whether he was just coming off a bus or he'd been up all night. Who's to say? But that's the way tips come in, and it takes tips. Ultimately, witnesses are what help you solve crimes.
And Rich, when you hear this so-called 3-page document that he wrote, apparently there are rants in there, but it also raises the question, is there other people who are out there who could be connected to him? The NYPD Chief of Detectives Joe Kenny said they're looking into that, but that could take time, right?
It would take time, and he said they would be looking into it, but he also said there's no evidence of that at this time. They're just going to double check.
Okay. Rich, are you surprised at all that no family members came forward?
We don't know that no family members came forward. We know that no family member led them to where he was found today. So I don't have any information as to whether or not they actually have spoken to police, members of his family, his sister, his other relatives.
All right. Rich Esposito, CBS News law enforcement expert, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Rich. The NYPD does say that this is the third time in 3 weeks that people have seen something related to a crime and said something leading to an arrest.
The triple stabbing homicide in Manhattan, the gunpoint robberies in Queens during which an NYPD officer was shot, and now this. We should never underestimate the power of the public to be our eyes and our ears in these investigations.
The commissioner commended the people who have spoken up to help solve these crimes and said the case will now continue through the criminal justice system.
And we have continuing coverage. Our Ali Bauman is in Pennsylvania. She'll have live reports from Altoona beginning at 6 p.m. And we have the timeline of the investigation and much more on CBSNewYork.com.